Hi, and welcome to Bengal and Beyond. My name is Shravanti, and I'm joined by my friends Ghazi and Misha today. Today is August 18th, and we are 11 days into the swearing in of a new interim government in Bangladesh, headed by Nobel laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus, along with 16 other cabinet members. Throughout the last few days, Bangladeshis have been glued to their screens, watching as former MPs and key figures in the Aumi League government have been arrested, some of them charged for murder, including our former prime minister. One of the most integral figures of this government is former advisor to the prime minister, Salman F. Rahman. And he was captured alongside with law minister Anisul Haq while he was trying to escape by boat. He was captured in the Shodorghat area of the capital. Salman Rahman, or SFR, as he is more commonly known in the elite circles of Bangladesh, is the vice chairman of Beximco Group, one of the largest conglomerates in Bangladesh. SFR is known as the leader of default culture, according to a Daily Star article written, I think, yesterday. Over the years, Rahman has borrowed over 36,000 crore takas from over 7 different banks, including Janata Bank, of which Rahman used the entire loaning capacity of the bank by borrowing over 24,000 crores taka alone from this one bank. Rahman also apparently took 56 million, according to as of August 14th. It's reported that he's taken 56 million from the Export Development Fund in foreign currency provided by Janata Bank. So we are starting off today talking about SFR because I think he's been one of the figures that people have really shown their anger at in terms of, Yellow, headquarters of Yellow being burned down and his house being attacked and looted. So let's talk about what this means for Bangladesh in terms of how much trouble we're in. I'm sure all you pure math / algebra, whatever experts are having your day in the sun. It should be really fun for you guys. I don't understand anything about math. Misha and Ghazi, I know you guys are like really into this stuff. So you can explain that stuff. Who wants to start?
Zhishan?
Go ahead, Ghazi.
I'm sure go. Well, hi everyone. Yep, I think today's topic is very interesting. It's basically to let people know how much exactly has been taken away from this country and by whom and how they've done it and whether and if there's an option of recovering from this and whether we can, right? Like you mentioned, he's taken 36,000 odd from like 7 different banks. He also had an issue where I think he issued bonds. He tried to issue bonds, the Sukuk bonds.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the Sukuk bonds. Not to mention the 7 state banks or the government banks.
Sorry, I want to add some flavor on the Sukuk thing. So
Yeah.
basically, Beximco issued a green Sukuk bond, which was meant to raise funds for their solar power project, right?
Yes.
So the way I believe a corporate bond works is that you have an SPV and the SPV owns the assets or will purchase the assets, and the bond is against the SPV, right? And the SPV owns the asset.
Yeah, so that's the collateral.
What happened here, that structure was never set up. Basically, Beximco Group took the whole 300 koti na 3,000 koti. 300 koti. $300 million roughly.
Yeah.
And they issued that from Beximco Group without giving any asset whatsoever. So this bond is completely worthless now. Not only that, but then the Bangladesh bank governor basically called all the bank managing directors and heads and basically coerced them into buying this bond.
Yeah.
It was and there was also involvement with the BSEC chairman as well.
Yeah.
So it was a big, basically, keyboard act of
it was
to steal money.
It was using a scheme, the bond concept, using a scheme to raise money and like you said, for their solar panel project. And as far as I know, from 1,800 কোটি টাকা, maybe মনে হয় 600 কোটি টাকা probably, or some amount they actually used for the project.
Used for the solar panels or whatever.
Yeah, and then this 300 koti is backed. Your bond has to be backed by assets, right? So what they did was the loan and everything that was dispersed and passed over. They received the funds, but asset take je register kore dibe against the bond, that they didn't do. So basically, the funds were there and they had no backing. They had no collateral. And up until now, I don't think they've done that. So that's where that scam initiated. That's where that plot was. And this is this what do you call this form of transport robbing, or movement robbing যেটাকে বলে, is basically the same method that not just Salman Rahman, the other 2 or 3 people that are involved are following the same kind of format, you know. So যেটা বলে Sukuk যেটা, they forced, I think, 7 banks, 7টা ব্যাংককে ফোর্স করে বলছে যে you have to buy the bonds. এখান থেকে some banks who had the courageousness to say no. I think one of them was like
only BRAC, from what I know, is the only one that had the guts. So even the Citibank was
Citibank forked out like 300 crore, I think. Yeah, 300 crore. They forked it out. BRAC Bank bole this is my amar client der poisha eta dia, I can't do that. They were very strong about it. But other banks that were were forcefully asked to buy this bond were like Janata Bank, Sonali Bank, Rupali Bank, Ogroni Bank, National Bank, and obviously you have IFIC, which where he was the chairman, right? So he forced these banks to buy these bonds, but he didn't secure them. Those banks didn't have any security or any collateral for the amount of money that they pay for the bond, and at the end of it, that's how they default. You're defaulting on your customer.
Yeah, I also want to talk about IFIC Bank. So today I saw ওরাও একটা 9-point demand দিছে, and I thought it was interesting. অনেক কিছু আছে which is like, oh, I've been passed over for promotion, or make those promotions actually happen, which means there was a culture of nepotism, or obviously currying favor, and that's how you get ahead at IFIC. But I thought the most interesting thing was the last point they had was hold on. Sorry about that. It was like a stop or no longer live under a culture of fear. So I think that all-pervading culture of fear that we all kind of had, you know, it was also pervasive in the financial sector as well.
Right. Exactly. I mean, that fear that they have of, like, I mean, of ratting people out. It's not ratting people out right now. It's not about ratting people out. It's about, you know, they have to now, is because এখন তো সবাই will become complicit. এখন world যেটাই হইতেছে সবকিছুতে বোঝা যাচ্ছে যে, you know, there's not just one person. There's the head, but then the head has like different arms all over, and অন্য যারা আছে, whoever's complicit is trying to get their name out of it. They don't want their name to be. They would have been forced, right? They would have been threatened, like the issue that they had with I forgot the topic. Kun project er jonno they needed some loan. Misha তোমার নামটা হয়তো বলতে পারবা।
Tripur.
না, ইসলামী ব্যাংকের যে 3জন ডাইরেক্টরকে উঠাই নিয়ে, like the managing director and the CEO, ওদেরকে উঠাই, DJFI picked them up, forced them to retire. And then while that happened, within an hour, Radisson Islamic Bank, a new board of directors were formed. New MD, new chairman, that thing. So everything that these people, Salman Rahman and you have S Alam, some there's also shop is done under
Silver Food. এটার কথা বলছো? Silver Food.
কোনটা?
Was that it? Silver Food পাইলাম একটা।
Islamic Banker?
হ্যাঁ। Struggling flour mill that was acquired. But yeah, anyway, sorry to interrupt.
So guys, I have I have like a layman's question for people who don't follow basic banking, expertises. What does this mean for us in plain English? And what does it mean for the country? I mean, I'm assuming that these banks don't have the cash, and those of us who have deposited cash to the banks might be in danger of losing that money at some point. So dumb it down for us a little, and well, not dumb it down, but please explain to those who are not math experts.
Can I use the Islamic Bank as an example?
Sure. Yeah.
So Islamic Bank is one of the biggest banks in Bangladesh. Okay, Tumar Shop general population, Janata Manush. This is the bank that they trust specifically because of its name, right? From the villages and then the Tetulia to Teknaf, Teknaf to Tetulia, everyone, most rural people use Islamic Bank. So their funds are there, right? ওদের ফান্ড দিয়ে তো business করা হয়, ওদের ফান্ড দিয়ে তো lending করা হয়, ওদের ফান্ড থেকে তো interest earn করা হয় and everything. So this is what Salman Rahman has done, or whoever's done. They've looted the client's money. Now, Bangladesh, there's also an insurance issue which comes into play. Just because you have Aktaka in your bank, it is not totally insured. This is part of the fine print. Okay, the full amount is not assured. depending on whether your bank has international affiliations or international gateways, you have to be insured in a certain way. But if you're a local bank, like Islamic Bank, I don't know whether they're online or not. Online understanding is very different. Online Bangladesh, I remember yes, we're online banking. That just meant to me laptop or computer account details balance. You're not being able to do a transaction. So that's what they used to consider as online. But right now, Islamic Bank doesn't have that thing. And it's all still register kata. Hi, Zhishan.
Yeah, go ahead, guys. Finish it.
Yeah. So Islamic Bank is on the registered book. So everyone's thing is like debit, credit. Most money bank so okay, manipulate kora is much more easier. That's why they targeted these Islamic banks and everything. Bank and all that. They're not computerized or aren't required to be computerized up until a certain point. Or maybe hold kore আছে. So when we mentioned the Sukuk bond, when they asked BRAC is all digitized, modernized, and everything, transactions online, all that kind of stuff. They simply said no, because there is no way to justify buying that bond, right? Citibank did it. Citibank did it, and under duress. So now the question is, what Tushi you asked, how are they going to get this money back? That's why they're having these protests in front of the banks. First of all, they're not liquid. All right, they're all in the red. Whatever collateral that they're insured with, that's not there. That's been sent out as well. And to top it all off, তুমি যে তোমার টাকা যেটা পাবা যে ঠিক আছে fine, collateral নিয়ে গেছে, এটা নিয়ে গেছে, whatever. The fact that I'm insured for my money, the whole amount of your money isn't insured, and maybe it might be up to যেটা আমরা জানতাম up to 2 লাখ টাকা একটা ছিল for Islamic Bank. So তুমি তোমার অ্যাকাউন্টে যদি 1 কোটি টাকা থাকে, you're insured up to 2 lakh টাকা. This is what this person, this lady, she was saying that her daughter's wedding is coming up, and they've saved up 57 lakhs or 47 lakhs, and it's been 1 year from the date of like Akika or something till Pujanto. Every other day the husband goes to the bank and they're not letting them withdraw the money. So that's the thing. There is no money to withdraw. And to me, jodi insured thakta, tao tumi hoyto 75% insured thakta. They're not. They're insured up to a certain amount. There is no way they can pay this money back. The bank will not be able to pay this money back, and যেখান থেকে যদি pay off করার chances they'll have to get a bailout. Bangladesh Bank right now cannot do that anymore.
But let me, before Tushi, I know you want to do something. Before you do it, let me just say, the bigger picture is that the only way out of this, I believe, is that the central bank will have to print more money to make up for all of this money that the banks are supposed to have, but that they don't have, right? Which means when people want that money, they have to create more money out of thin air, which is what governments do. And once they print money, what will end up happening is that the taka will devalue even further, obviously, when there's more money supply. That's my very simplistic view, opinion on what's going to happen. But I think in the long term, if they need to remain solvent, the government's going to have to bail these banks out. And the only way to bail the banks out is to create money. From nowhere.
Which will devalue the currency. Okay, thank you so much, Kazi and Misha.
just one more quick thing. When you said about the bank, what you call devaluing our currency, it can't devalue any further because the debt to population ratio is so high. Is so high. There is no bailout. Bangladesh Bank can't provide a bailout. Bangladesh Bank itself needs a bailout. বুঝছো? So where মানে as far as the আম জনতার ইসলামী ব্যাংকের যে টাকা পয়সা যেগুলি আছে যে ব্যাংক this is gone. We have to find another way. There is no more bailouts. Bailout করে you're going
But that means thousands or maybe millions of people will all of a sudden be insolvent, and those people are obviously going to take to the streets.
So let's wait. Let's bring in
Mm.
Zhishan because so Zhishan, we've been talking about the arrest and the subsequent news about SFR and the defaults and the fact that he's basically taken a shit ton of money from the country and disappeared, and we are never going to see it again probably. Well, disappeared now. I guess he's here. He's been arrested. But yeah, the money is probably long gone. So I know that this has been a really difficult time for you as well, where this government you believe has done a lot of good. So I do want to kind of ask you what was your feeling, because I mean I knew they stole. I knew that there was default situation and everything, but this level was just so shocking to me, and so this is unbelievable. I can't fathom this. So I do want to ask you, what's your kind of take on this? Because yeah, I mean, I need to also see whether there's anything on the other side that I can actually, hear out. You got to unmute yourself.
Okay, so sorry. Hi. Yeah, no. Before I get into that, I just want to ask Kazi, because I'm not an economist or a banker or anything, but can the government issue bonds and borrow from the population? Is that a way to raise money?
They already have bonds right now. There's the government can't issue anything right now because I was just looking at the statistics. Misha, you said about printing money, right? I'm searching for the statistic, but in the last 1 year, the amount of money that Bangladesh Bank printed under the instructions of the Prime Minister in the last year outweighs what's been printed in the last 10 years. I'm trying to find that figure. Okay, so but right now they can't print any more money, or else we're going to get into hyperinflation. We're already in inflation mode. There's too much money circulating in the country, right? So any further is going to lead to, I mean, what happens, like what Misha said, there's too much money in the economy and everything, the value of it goes down. It's going to get devalued as it is. Or at one point they were thinking about, I think in the last 1 week or so, I heard that they're thinking about demonetizing the 1,000 taka and 500 taka notes. Remember, we talked about it in the last year. So Bangladesh Bank right now has no control or cannot provide any kind of bailout to any of these sick banks that these guys messed up. It's not possible. It's not financially possible. They need a bailout first, and then আমাদের concern are also, like, say for example, যেটা পাচার হয়েছে যে $96 billion যে পাচার হয়েছে. This is a statistic from over like within the last 5 years, but funnily enough, the $93 billion was done in the last year and a half, and $3 billion was done maybe in the last 7 or 8 years. So in the last year, basically every kind of project came into fruition. They had to make sure that these projects become live, start generating money, and then they can start making payments. Overinflate করে যা payment গুলি আসতেছে, partial pay করতেছে, excess টা পাঠাই দিতেছে. This is what's been going on. And to answer your question back once again, yeah, they can't. They printing further money is disastrous for this country right now.
Okay, Zish, why don't you kind of tell us what your take is on this?
So, I mean, I'm not shocked or surprised, because Salman Rahman has been stealing since I was a 16-year-old, from as long as I can remember. I remember in the 90s about the stock market crash. I mean, I remember hearing about Beximco and Salman Rahman and defaulting from as long as I can remember. So it's not a shock or a surprise. The numbers, the figures are obviously massive, but then obviously I don't know how to get into it, but if you look at it in percentages, obviously the economy is larger. So
Yeah.
if it's still 10%, like Mr. 10% Tariq Zia, it's 10% of a larger economy. So it's obviously going to look like a lot more money. But is it a larger percentage? I don't know. I don't know how to calculate it anyway. But
Well, I mean, they've been printing, like I found the figures. They've been printing since October. It says, according to the Bangladesh Bank, there was a decline in note printing from June last year. That scenario changed in October last year. The amount of money issued by the central bank stood at Taka 2.73 trillion at the end of the month. Of it, about Taka 2.46 trillion was outside of the banking sector. This is for outside of the bank. So it's obviously on projects. Right, where are they putting these money? Where are they putting this money in? What is this money for?
Oh, they didn't even put it into the banks. They didn't
Not even to the banks.
It's just like cash printed and just floating around.
Where is it? Where is this money going? Right, and
so
every month. Wait, and that was just 1 month. Okay, in October, and after that, every month, October 2.73, November 2.75, December 2.78, January 2.83. This is the amount of which bank kulite maybe like 4 or 5 trillion jache or something. Where's this money going to? They've been printing this money, and this is
insane. Yeah.
It
is kind of it's getting to a point now where I feel like I'm in some kind of alternate universe where I've just not, like, I knew all of this was happening, but this level of, I mean, just like lack of concern for anything, but just, filling your pockets. And I want to move on, but Zhishan, continue. And then we're going to go on to the next topic because we got to wrap this up.
Okay, so my point is that, like, obviously I'm not defending any of this, but I'm trying to say, and I'm not saying this because I think Awami League did a good job and so therefore I have to defend everything that they've done. That's not the point. The point I'm trying to make is that in this current climate of, obviously, what you are likely to get a lot of information that's designed to make it look like exactly what you're feeling. It may not necessarily be entirely true. It's designed to make it seem as if these people did nothing but steal, right? Obviously, because that's the zeitgeist at the moment, right? So you have to prove that, and the numbers and the figures that are coming in are not being offset by other figures that would probably be also relevant about how much money came in, right? We're only talking about how much money went out. There was a lot of FDI in the last couple of years. There was a lot. I worked personally as a lawyer on work that was all about money that came in from a lot of different countries and different companies. So it isn't simple. I mean, it's convenient to think about it only as theft. And of course, there was a lot of theft. But I'm trying to say that a lot of these numbers that are coming out aren't being verified. A lot of these numbers are.
Zhishan, এক second দ্বারা man. যে numbers গুলি বের হোক, whatever, let's say কম বেশি this that. চুরি করছে নাকি না? এটুকু ওর টাকা ছিল।
Of course,
that should be the bottom line, right?
Not only that, I'm sorry. OE level, it's not corruption we're talking about. It's grand corruption. It's corruption that is so institutionalized that it was a part of our national identity, very frankly, for all of us. Right? And we all felt that way. It was a different level, systematized.
Agreed. But we're all acting like we haven't felt exactly this way in 1990, exactly this way in 2008. We felt exactly this way when we heard about all the other regimes that did the same corruption. It's not new, is what I'm trying to say. It's
not new. It's not new. You're absolutely right. But I think that the narrative being pushed on us, the rhetoric, the hate, the fear, the silencing, the illegal arrests, I think that, and we're going to come to the next topic, Zhishan, and I know this one is a little more of a topic that you'd like to talk about.
Let me just say something. Let me just say something before you finish that. It's not about me trying to defend any particular party. I'm trying to say that the system of government in Bangladesh has been. Tariq Zia was known as Mr. 10%. I remember very clearly when Awami League came into power, the amount of things that they published to prove how corrupt the BNP was, how much money they stole, is exactly the same sort of language that we're hearing now. So
but the difference is, I think what Nisha is trying to say is the scalability factor.
Nisha, yes.
Agreed.
BNP, ঠিক আছে 10% ছিল। Bhai, $93 billion is not 10%. It's 10% of what? 10% would be 10% of $93 billion is $9.3 trillion value of the project. So it's not a 10% man. That's not the issue. The level of মানে দেশের জিনিস কিভাবে চুরি করছে মানে কিভাবে করতে পারে I don't anyway that's an emotional issue for me. I'm not being able to get that.
I'm trying to say that all of you and everybody I'm speaking to are indignant about this, as though this has never happened before, or as though it's also a level of indignity that we don't know yet if it's I would prefer to withhold my sense of indignation until I have these things properly figured out. I'm not going to just because this getting hysterically indignant about things is what we do, and I find that problematic.
No, but Shuno, I'm sorry, but can I just say something that I understand what you're saying, but the level of it's not just the money, it's not the stealing. There was a lot of, I think there's a systematic breakdown of the people's trust in general. We stopped believing in a government that was not corrupt. We stopped believing in a government that didn't that didn't victimize us for dissenting with them. There's a lot of stuff that I think
in our own place
ourselves.
in this government
we
at
stopped
all.
Believing
right.
in ourselves.
Like
wait, I don't remember ever believing it. My point is I don't remember ever believing it. That's my point. I don't know why you guys are acting as if we ever had that trust in any of our governments.
I think in 2000, when this government first came to power,
I think when this government started, I did have that. Yeah, I did. I voted for Sheikh Hasina in 2009. I was very proud of it. I expected more. I really did. I expected more from her being, and this is our next topic, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahmaner meye hoye. I expected something more. And I think this is what the next topic that we have is actually on.
Cool. So why don't I just close it up and then we can do it again.
So we'll see you for the next episode. This is part 2 of our episode.
What?
See you soon.